It's National Preparedness Month, and even though this hurricane season has been very low-key, you should still keep your preparations in high gear, and we'll tell you why. Hello and welcome to Volusia Magazine. I'm Amber Patterson. On today's show, we'll also bring you information about the Community Emergency Response Team and their recent training. And have you ever wondered what sentinel chickens are when it comes to mosquito control and how they can help keep you healthy? We'll take a look at those later on in the show. And then we'll sit down with Community Information Director Dave Byron for a chat with his guest, EVAC Director John Zaragoza, for some insight about the county's ambulance service. So let's get started with Volusia Magazine. Stay tuned. Volusia County Mosquito Control has stepped up public protection efforts in the wake of a recently reported suspected human case of the West Nile virus. Based on positive tests from sentinel chickens, Mosquito Control was alerted in July. The flu-like virus was present in Volusia County and could be a threat to the public. Mosquito Control Manager Sue Bartlett said treatment for the type of mosquitoes known to carry the virus has since been increased and continues to remain a priority.
So our whole program is based on a proactive approach. We have surveillance systems out where we monitor the adult populations, the larval populations, we sample them, and then we proactively treat those mosquitoes while they're a captive audience in the water. And that way they don't even get to be biting adults. And so in that way we're proactive.
Bartlett said residents also need to be diligent in prevention efforts. Remember, most mosquitoes are more active between dawn and dusk, and people should avoid outdoor activities at these times if possible.
We also have increased our efforts in our educational area, getting our trailer out to different areas and providing updated information for individuals. And we always encourage repellent and protection, self-protection. It's what we do, and we do it throughout Volusia County. We need every individual to, learn about mosquitoes, find mosquitoes, dump their containers, no water, no worries. So we want those containers free of mosquitoes, and we want people to tell their neighbors and their relatives and their friends to do it too. Clean out their gutters on their houses, and that's really our message, is protect yourself, use repellent, and get rid of those mosquitoes that you can.
For more information about mosquito control spray operations or to request service in your area, you can visit volusia.org/mosquito. Although this hurricane season has been very quiet so far, September is the most active month for tropical storms. September is also National Preparedness Month, and there's no better time to brush up on safety tips and do a self-check on your personal emergency plans. This year's theme is Be Disaster Aware, Take Action to Prepare.
One of the best ways to start your preparation is to get a plan. And it sounds simple enough, but once that ball starts rolling, you really start to become more resilient. So you get a plan. Once you have your plan and you figure out what you would do for a particular hazard, be it a wildfire or for a hurricane or a tornado, you try to practice the plan, familiarize you and your family with the plan, and you continue to update and exercise that plan as you move through the year.
Volusia County's emergency management encourages residents to predetermine where to evacuate should such an official directive be given. It's better to stay with friends or relatives who live out of the storm's path because shelters offer safe haven, but little comfort. For those who have no alternative, Volusia County will set up hurricane shelters at key locations across the county. In making storm preparations, a first step should be to stock a disaster supply kit for family and pets. The kit should include a 2-week supply of medication and enough drinking water and non-perishable food to last for 5 to 7 days. Don't forget personal items and first aid supplies. For a list of other disaster supply items, you can visit volusia.org/emergency. One of the most important things you can do to protect your home and family before a flood is to purchase a flood insurance policy.
It's important that people have flood insurance because homeowners insurance doesn't cover rising water. There's really no such thing as an area that doesn't flood in Florida. You have low risk and high risk areas, and particularly for people that live in high risk areas, it's important that they get a flood insurance policy.
According to the National Flood Insurance Program, flooding is the #1 most common natural disaster in the United States. There is a 26% chance of experiencing a flood during the life of a 30-year mortgage in high-risk flood areas.
Normally there's a 30-day waiting period before a flood insurance policy goes into effect. So it's important to get it now, and if there's a storm, a named storm anywhere within 500 miles of the United States, flood insurance policy won't be written.
If you want to determine your risk for flooding, you can go to floodsmart.gov. You can type in your address and learn if your flood risk is low, moderate, or high. For more information about the National Flood Insurance Program, you can contact your insurance agent or you can just visit floodsmart.gov. Volusia County Fire Services and Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University recently trained more than 100 volunteers in disaster response during a full-scale disaster drill in Daytona Beach. The volunteers were members of the Community Emergency Response Team, or CERT, which is overseen by FEMA.
These aren't just everyday citizens. These are citizens who are very dedicated to wanting to learn new stuff, to be good partners in the community. And they were very well trained, and they performed very well.
They received classroom training in search and rescue, fire suppression, triage, and stabilizing vehicles at Volusia County's Fire Services Training Center before taking part in an outdoor exercise.
Usually the CERT teams are some of the first responders to arrive on scene before the rest of the first responders arrive, so to speak. So it's critical that they have this training.
Several Embry-Riddle students posed as victims of a tornado touchdown so the volunteers could practice their skills. The training and drill were offered on a final day of the 3-day Florida CERT conference in Daytona Beach. The CERT program educates volunteers about disaster preparedness for hazards that may impact their area and trains them in basic disaster response skills such as fire safety, light search and rescue, team organization, and disaster medical operations. Using the training learned in the classroom and during exercises, CERT members can assist others in their neighborhood or workplace following an event when professional responders are not immediately available to help. CERT members are also encouraged to support emergency response agencies by taking a more active role in emergency preparedness projects in their community.
Volusia County Chair Jason Davis. You know, American veterans deserve our deepest respect, and Volusia County is dedicated to helping our local veterans obtain the benefits they're entitled to. Our veteran service counselors have helped veterans receive more than $173 million in compensation and pension benefits each year, along with $1.3 billion in home loans. Volusia County has veteran service offices in DeLand, Orange City, Daytona Beach, and New Smyrna Beach. For more information, please call 386-740-5102 or visit volusia.org/veterans.
Let's join Here and Now reporter Joanne Magley for a look at one special asset here in Volusia County.
The 3,400-acre Tomoka landfill near Daytona Beach is operated by Volusia County's Solid Waste Division. It handles approximately 1,300 tons of waste each day, a $25 million a year business operated with no ad valorem taxes.
Everything that comes across our scales at Tomoka and at the transfer station supports our operation.
Lenny Marion is the director of Volusia County's Solid Waste Division. His customers include commercial haulers as well as both residential and non-residential self-haulers who use the county transfer station and landfill facilities.
We charge $34 a ton for regular household garbage, along with some other varied prices for tires, class 3 yard waste and things of that nature. All of that money goes into a pot, and we look at our operations, our construction, our future construction, our payroll, everything that it takes to operate this, and we have to run our operation based off of that, along with providing insurance, environmental insurance, liability insurance. So every cost that's associated with it, we have to make sure that we operate like a private sector business.
At the Tomoka landfill, there's a lot more than just a landfill. Multiple operations take place, including landfill gas management, household special waste handling, and there's even a recycling facility. And when it comes to recycling, Lenny says Volusia County has been at the forefront of this green initiative, especially since there's a materials recovery facility, also known as MRF, right at the landfill.
We've been ahead of this curve for a long time on the recycling side. Gel Corporation and working with a partnership with them on the curbside and having our own MRF right in our county and at our facility, and a public-private partnership with them and leasing the building and working together with them to develop and make a strong, viable recycling program.
And we're not just talking about recycling newspapers and soda cans. Methane, a naturally occurring gas emitted from landfills, is also recycled through a partnership with Fortistar.
All of the gas wells that are within our footprints of the old cells and the new cells, we extrapolate that gas out, and it's just like a big vacuum cleaner. It sucks all that methane out of there, and they're run through a scrubbing system, and then they're brought into the plant and they're put into generators, and we service about 3,800 households a year from the methane fuel that burns through those generators. Our yard waste program we take out here, and what happens is it gets ground up. It'll come in on the trucks from the commercial side and from the residential side, goes into a big tub grinder. We grind it up, mix it with dirt, and we use it for cover material in the landfill. And what that does, that saves us money on the other end on our borough operation, where we don't have to dig a lot of our dirt to use to close the landfill out. We use the mulch combination dirt, and it's a savings. We're taking a waste and reusing it, so we're saving costs within our operation.
When it comes to traditional recycling, a sophisticated system separates plastic, papers, and metals.
We have a public-private partnership with Gel Corporation. It's a recycling facility. All of the curbside recycling that's generated within the county is taken to this facility, dumped, put into a conveyor system, and it's source separated. The glass, the plastics, the newspapers, the cardboard, aluminum cans, ferrous and non-ferrous metal, all broken out into different bins. It's baled, then it's shipped to market, and we do some revenue sharing with Gel Corp on that operation.
Gasoline, paints, thinners, pool chemicals, and similar materials cannot be disposed in your garbage because they're harmful to the environment. But you can drop these items off at the Household Hazardous Waste Facility at the Tomoka Landfill and the West Volusia Transfer Station. And while you're getting rid of your old paint, why not see if someone else's trash can become a new hue for your home? The county has a reuse program for paints, and residents can pick from what's available at no charge. So the next time you put your trash and recyclables to the curb, you'll know a lot more about where it's going and the efforts that are being made to reduce, reuse, and recycle. For Volusia Here and Now, I'm Joanne Magley.
For more information about Volusia County's Solid Waste Division and recycling programs, you can call 386-943-7889. During National Preparedness Month, we ask you, your family, community, and workplace to take action by making sure you're prepared. Stephanie Strong has details in this segment of Community Health Matters.
When disaster strikes like a storm, it can happen quickly. It can be devastating. You can lose power, electric lines and phone lines go down, flood water everywhere, severe damage to your homes and businesses. You must be ready to protect yourself and your family.
I like for people to think not only about hurricane season, but think about all hazards preparedness, because there's many types of situations that can catch us off guard, whether it's severe weathers, tornadoes, it could be the fires, it could be hurricanes, it could be a number of things. But we want people to be prepared when those events happen.
Well, we haven't had a disaster, a real big one, in a long time, and I think a lot of the public has become pretty complacent, thinking it's not going to happen here like in other areas of the country. But any of us who went through the fires of 1998 and the horrible storms of 2004 know that it can happen here.
Outreach efforts like this one, sponsored by community organizations active in disaster, provide an opportunity for residents to collect important information about ways to prepare for disasters.
We want people to also think about the members of their families who may have special medical needs, to make sure that they have their medications, they have the medical supplies that they need to have, to think ahead about the companies that provide the services to them, and make sure they know what their disaster plan is so that they can continue to have those services in place even during or after the storm hits.
What we're doing is trying to get people to prepare themselves, because when a disaster hits, it sometimes takes critical emergency services days to get to a hard-hit area. So we need to get ourselves and our neighbors prepared so that we can be self-sufficient in the meantime.
The following 30-second public service announcement, brought to you by the Federal Emergency Management Agency's READY campaign and the Ad Council, focuses on the importance of creating a family emergency communication plan.
I think he's on his way. He doesn't even know that we're here. Is he okay? Please tell me he's okay.
Laura.
Okay, try to call him again.
There's no signal.
Try.
Nothing's working.
Well, just
Everything's
try.
down.
This is so bad. He's out there by himself.
Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ready.gov.
You should also inquire about emergency plans at places where your family spends time: work, daycare and school, faith organizations, sporting events, and commuting. If no plans exist, consider volunteering to help create one. Talk to community leaders, your colleagues, neighbors, and members of faith or civic organizations about how you can work together in the event of an emergency. You will be better prepared to safely reunite your family and loved ones during an emergency if you think ahead and communicate with others in advance. For Volusia Magazine, I'm Stephanie Strong, Public Information Officer for the Florida Department of Health in Volusia County.
As always, if you have any questions about this or any other health-related issues, you can log on to volusiahealth.com. And now let's join Community Information Director Dave Byron in the studio with his guest, EVAC Director John Zaragoza, who will update us on the county's ambulance service.
Well, thanks, Amber, and hi, everyone. Since October of 2011, EVAC, the countywide ambulance provider, has been a service of Volusia County government. So today we'll catch up on how things are going with the county-operated emergency transport service. With us in the studio was the county's EVAC Director, John Zaragoza, who has more than 36 years of emergency medical experience. John, thanks for being with us. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you, Dick?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for being with us. A very important service provided by Volusia County government. The county took it over in 2011, integrated all of that into one cost center and so forth. You know, for those folks that are not familiar with EVAC, give us kind of a general description of this system.
Okay, well, we're the county's designated EMS service or ambulance service. We provide emergent medical care and transportation to those folks that dial 911. We also do contract work within the county too, as far as covering special events.
How many vehicles do you have out there, John?
We have a total of 44 ambulances at any given time, especially during our peak times when we have high volume. We could have upwards of 25 ambulances on the just devoted to emergencies. We also have a number of vehicles that will be dedicated to, let's say, special events, say like the 500.
Sure. And how many people do you have?
Oh, over about 200 right now.
And I think it's important to note that your service area is basically all of Volusia County, and that's a big area.
Yeah, it's a big responsibility for us.
Hey, the county's population, we all know, is growing over 500,000. We're a tourist area, so we've got at any given moment. Lots of other people that are in the community. You got the special events with the events at the racetrack. You got Bike Week and so forth. You know, in terms of transports, how many transports are you making in the course of a year?
Transports right now, we're probably going to be going close to 50,000 transports a year. Now, you know, total number of calls, we're probably going to be going over 80,000 this year.
Wow. That number on the increase, John?
Oh, it definitely is.
Hey, John, you came here from Greenville, South Carolina. It was recognized as having a great ambulance system and so forth. You know, you've been on the job here now for going on 3 years. You know, I was just wondering, in terms of ambulance services, are they all pretty much the same, or does Volusia's EVAC offer some uniqueness to it?
Well, since I've been doing it for 36 years, I have to say that I've probably seen it all.
I was gonna, yeah.
And I've seen it all actually condensed here within Volusia County.
Do you think, with the nature of the special events, the fact that you know, we have this large motorcycle event a couple of times a year, you have you know, more than a couple of 100,000 people at the Speedway at any given time, obviously I would think those are dynamics that not every community has to deal with.
Most definitely. It does tax the system. I think the one thing that you have as an advantage here is that there's a large spirit of cooperation within public safety in general, working with fire service, law enforcement, working in collaboration with the folks that are actually putting on the special events. And I have to say that the county really kind of steps up to the plate when these events are out there.
And has done so for a long period of time. So there's some great historical experience here.
You've definitely practiced.
Hey, John, we talked about this the last time you were here, and maybe it'd be good to review this for the citizens. Volusia County has what most people refer to as a two-tiered kind of an emergency response system. Explain what that means and how EVAC fits into those into that two-tier process.
Sure. The two-tier refers to, I guess, the two agencies actually responding at the same time. You have a very good fire-based first response system here within Volusia County. We both get the call at the same time. Because we're responsible for the entire county and we're dynamically deployed, many times fire service can get there well in advance of the ambulance. So they're able to get there and with their paramedics and EMTs actually initiate care, stabilize the patient until the EVAC team gets there, and then as a team work to care for the patient and then ultimately transport that patient to the hospital.
Let's talk about the EVAC budget for a minute. It is part of the overall county budget. What does it cost to run the ambulance system?
Oh, well, you're talking at least $16 million right now, not counting capital investment in the organization. So it's a pretty big chunk of change.
And you know, I think when you guys go on an ambulance call and you make a transport to a local hospital or whatever, don't you send the patient a bill?
Yes, actually we're the only segment, I guess one of the segment of public safety that actually can be reimbursed for transportation of the patient. So we do that. We do work with the patients to ensure that their insurance companies or Medicare and Medicaid actually assist in paying that bill.
And I would imagine, like healthcare in general, there's a percentage of people that just don't have the means to pay, and I guess that's where the taxpayers come in, huh?
Yes, actually they do.
I mean, it's pretty. You know, it's the same thing with hospitals. Is that they have a certain amount of indigent patients, and that's where the I guess the public support comes in.
Sure. I mean, one of the things about a 911 service is that we really can't discriminate, I guess, ultimately. When they dial 911, the expectation is that they have an emergency, and of course we do have to respond.
Well, John, you mentioned your budget and you mentioned capital, and of course those ambulances that are out on the road every day, they put a lot of miles on them. I imagine they're expensive and so forth. How often do you change out your ambulances?
Generally speaking, the industry says there's a number of different ways that you do it, but basically every 4 to 5 years you should be changing those trucks out.
And I think it was stated at the county council meeting recently that EVAC in the next budget year is going to be looking at some new ambulances and apparently the state-of-the-art models which give you some increased efficiencies. Tell us about the kind of ambulances that you'll be purchasing in the future.
I was very excited when
you're pretty proud of this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I walked into a great scenario in that the county was very thoughtful in looking at what their needs are going to be over the next 5, 10, 15 years when it comes to emergent transportation.
Right.
So when I got here and found the types of vehicles that they had actually specified, they're, as I say, they're very utilitarian, which means that they're very cost efficient, but they're great units. Right now, as they sit, you're probably talking about a $160,000 investment in those ambulances. The nice thing about them is that they will hold up very well. They're very fuel efficient. They're very comfortable, and that's very important for the patient. The typical box-style ambulance is not comfortable to many folks. And I think some of the features that have been incorporated into these new ambulances make that ride quite acceptable.
You know, one of the things that you know, a lot of people don't understand, John, is they'll see an EVAC ambulance, say like parked in a shopping center parking lot or in front of a 7-Eleven or in a driveway or something, and that's not the employees taking a break. That's actually part of the system that you have. Explain what that means so the public understands how that fits into the picture.
Volusia County EMS is different than most traditional ambulance services in that we don't station our trucks at a physical building. We use a lot of historical information and do a lot of data analysis to actually predict where our calls are occurring at any given time during a 24-hour period. So we actually dynamically deploy our trucks to those street corners, to those convenience stores, because we predict that in that particular area there's a high probability that we're going to catch that very next incoming emergency call. So it's system status management is really what it's called. It's used in a lot of major metropolitan areas. A lot of counties are utilizing it because it's a much more efficient system than really sitting at a station and covering a geographic area.
For people out there that may want to get more information, perhaps they'd like to have you come speak to their civic group or that sort of thing. How do people get more information about EVAC ambulance?
Best way is to come through your office. We're on the internet, through volusia.org. Please let us know. We're more than happy to come out and talk to anybody and kind of spread the news.
Well, overall, John, it sounds like things are going pretty well. Thanks for sharing the information with us.
Again, glad to be here.
Our guest today, John Zaragoza. He's the director of the county's EVAC ambulance system. And with that, Amber, we'll go back to you.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you for watching Volusia Magazine. If you have any questions about our program, you can give us a call at any of the numbers you see listed here, or you can log on to volusia.org. You can also catch the show online. Just go to volusia.org and click on the News tab at the top of the screen to find us. And we hope you won't forget to listen to Volusia Today. That's Volusia County Government's public information radio broadcast. Volusia Today airs every Tuesday and Sunday mornings on the local radio stations you see on your screen. For Volusia Magazine, I'm Amber Patterson. Have a great evening.